Hey there guys, InfamousAmoe again. I was going to do another gameplay video today, or at least at this particular time slot. However, it's very early and there's not a whole lot of Paragon players on right now. I couldn't find a game, so instead I'm going to do a guide of sorts. We're going to go over multiple things today. There's a lot of new players and I figured this might help them out a little bit, get them going, rather than just trying to feel it out. It can be difficult. There's not too many toxic players here, but there are enough to where that might dissuade some people from playing the game if they run into that prior. But anyhow, let's get started. First, we're going to identify the current meta. We're going to talk about that for a moment. We're in a very warrior-heavy meta right now. There used to be multiple ADCs typically per game, per team. However, now you may see even no ADCs in the team. There's a few reasons why. For one, the stat changes, or I guess not set, card changes, I suppose. They reduced the amount of damage you get per card point and the amount of attack speed you get per card point. They also reduced lifesteal. So all those things are less than they used to be. However, they did not nerf armor or health or any of that. So what's happened effectively is that the warriors were already relatively durable previously, but now they're even more durable, not as a result of armor getting buffed, but it could be difficult to deal with before, but now that you get a less attack, it's more difficult to deal with. So you could get 3 to 4 warriors and just dominate the early game. It's still not viable late game usually. That's not necessarily true. ADCs are nowhere near as good as they used to be. If a group of warriors plays properly, you can shut them down and win the game in the 30-minute mark, likely. There's 3 reasons for this, and so now what we're going to do, we're going to identify people who I think are considered pretty good in the current meta as far as I'm aware. Now this is not centered around professional play. A lot of players don't have anything to do with that. This is more for people playing the game in general. Pub games aren't really a thing here because there's not a separation per se. But it's for general play. So we're going to talk about that real quick. Gideon is strong right now, but well, I wouldn't say strong. He's alright. He is not as good as Gadget really, and there's a couple reasons for this. Gideon's ultimate is super easy to deal with. As long as you watch for it and you stun properly, you can knock him out of it real easy. And he'll basically just die to your team of warriors that you probably have, and not great. Gadget, the reason she's a bit better, as you can see I don't play her, but I've seen her. My brother plays her a lot. I've gone a little bit into analyzing her kit, not for this video, but for personal play purposes. She has a lot of utility. She can speed people up, including warriors. She can help in a gank. She speeds the warriors up, they get in even faster, and kill you even faster, I guess is a way to look at that. Aside from that, she does a fair amount of damage. She's great at clearing waves. She's just an all-around great character. She used to be really underrated for whatever reason. I mean, she wasn't great before, and some changes kind of fixed her up, but you get the point. InfamousAmoe. He's played a lot right now. He's gone in and out of popular play a lot. He's a great jungler. I personally prefer Grux to InfamousAmoe, which we'll get into in a second, but he does have a lot of great components. He has a dash or a teleport. I think it's more of a dash than it is a teleport, but I do believe he can go into the air with it. It's great for escaping. You can also use it to chase, but I think it really shines in escaping for me. He has Hamstring, which is a slow and an AoE attack. It does a fair amount of damage. It's pretty strong. His ultimate is difficult to use, but it does do a fair amount of damage, and you can use it to clean up a kill and then get out with your teleport. Really depends on your personal style of play, but he's good. Now onwards to Grux, who I think is one of the strongest warriors right now, which is debatable because we're going to go on a Greystone in a second. But Grux is, I think, more of a utility warrior. I mean, he does a lot of damage. He has a bleed, which does well against other warriors with a lot of health, because it is not affected by armor in any way, I don't believe. So he can fight pretty well, but he doesn't do as much damage as Chimera that I've seen anyways. I think Chimera does do a bit more damage than him, but Grux has an excellent pull ability, which if used properly at the right times, you can score a lot of kills you might not have otherwise, or you can use it maybe to pull a glory off your ADC. If they're getting attacked, or just warriors in general, you can pull them off your ADC, keep them alive, and you may die for it sometimes, but if you can keep your team alive while doing damage, you can really improve your chances of winning a team fight. Next is Greystone. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, he also has Grex has an AoE ultimate stun that improves his basic attacks as well. That's good. He has a charge, but the charge isn't too significant. It's just a bit above normal running speed, and you can stop it. There's a lot of things you can do with that. Anyways, Greystone. He is interesting because while he can serve the purpose of a tank, he can also serve the same purposes of that a Chimera or that a Grex would in the form of a fighter gank character. Because the way he works is his ultimate, which gives him a second chance at life, and he gets a knock up when he comes down from it. It effectively makes him kind of a tank, even if he doesn't build for it. He also has some ability that's a passive, and it gives him some bonus health and physical armor. That's good as well. He's a pretty good character. The issue when you play him, and I've made a video on this, it's really tempting to go in too hard and get yourself killed a lot, because you don't anticipate your ability to escape or finish something when you come down from your ultimate. It takes longer than you think. I personally, I do it all the time. I get too into it and then end up walking into my death, or well, usually leaping or trying to gank into my death. But regardless, let's go on to the next big person in the meta right now. The reason I'm mostly listing warriors is because they're the big thing, I guess. But I will talk about other characters as well at some point. Is Chimera. Chimera does a ton of damage, and he's really, really great at ganking. You do need to keep in mind, however, that escaping as Chimera can be very difficult, so you need to be sure you can finish what you started if you try to go in as him. Chimera has a really great engagement. It's a leap. It's relatively long distance, and it's pretty effective. And he also has an ultimate that I think knocks the enemy team members nearby away and does a fair amount of damage. I think it does something else. I'm not too familiar with him. I don't play him much because of his inability to escape. I don't really like that, but he is good. He does a ton of damage. He's great at ganking. In combination with Grux and Fengmao, you can absolutely wipe lands. Now I'm going to take a moment to yawn because it's early. Alright, we're good. Sevrog, I think my voice just cracked. That's not great. Sevrog, recently, I don't know if it's still the case, reached the top of the leaderboard in the Diamond tier of players. Now, I said I wasn't going to talk about pro play, but I will say this. If Sevrog is played properly, he is, in my opinion, one of the best characters in the game. There's a few reasons why. If you can get behind ADCs or enemies in general in a team fight, like ahead of them, his ultimate has a massive knockback, and you can use it to knock them in your team, and your team can kill him. You can single out people, you can make them dead. He has a great long-ranged root. It has like a ton of range, and if you're good at landing it, you can secure a lot of kills that way. But what's great about Sevrog is he has a scaling Q. You get more damage from it as you kill creeps with it. Siphon, it's his bread and butter skill. You'll be familiar with it if you play him. But what's really great is his ultimate, Colossal Blow. Oh, excuse me, that was not great. His ultimate, Colossal Blow. Sorry, it's early. It's not just a knockback. It has more utility than that. If you're behind, you need to clear waves. It instantly kills creeps. So if you do it right, you can hit the whole creep wave and you just knock out a whole creep wave without it ever touching yours. It has a relatively low cooldown, so if you need to, you can split push extremely well as Sevrog. He's also can be very tanky depending on how you build him. The thing about Sevrog, I'd really recommend building attack damage, a little bit of piercing, and then plenty of armor. I personally get health regen on him. I don't know if it's very good. I just like to have a little bit of health coming back. But I don't think I have an efficient build for him, but it's alright. But yeah, moving on, you're gonna see the Fae a lot. She's a caster. What's interesting about the Fae, I haven't played her at all. She's not really my um, preferred type of character, but she is really amazing for a lot of reasons. She can bully a lane pretty early, which doesn't matter as much right now due to the meta, but she is good at that. She has a lot of good crowd control, which is really important right now. When warriors are running rampant, it's important to be able to stop them and keep them in place. Put them where you want them to be rather than where they want to be. That's the real key right now. Other than that, she's really just a utility caster. It doesn't say it here, but I consider her to be kind of a support. Serves a similar purpose to Decker in keeping other people alive and keeping enemies where you want them to be. Similar concept. Now, I'm going to talk about Kallari. I don't know that she's prominent, but you will see her more than you used to. Kallari is a warrior, but you should never go in and try to face tank people. Probably shouldn't try to kill people from full health. You will most likely die. She's very squishy. What's cool about her though is if an ADC gets away or somebody low health gets away, you can teleport across the map. You can run in, and if the ADC's taking some hits, you can sneak in and kill them for your team. She can be she can be a big pain. She can take out your harvesters if she wants to, because she can go invisible, get in there, kill it, and then invisible out. Now there's an easy counter to this. You won't see it a lot in pub games, or sorry, I guess pubs don't exist really here, but if you get wards, you can see her when she goes invisible, and you can kill her pretty easily, but not many people get wards, and they should. We're going to discuss that in a second for how to counter the meta and how to make sure you don't get deathballed every single game. Now, the trick to not getting deathballed is super simple. It costs almost nothing to you. It's not difficult. It's just the easiest thing. Let me yawn. Sorry about that. But the trick to this meta right now is if you just keep wards. And there's a misconception. I think I even messed up in a video before when I was a little bit newer. I hadn't completely gotten familiar with this system in the game yet. But warding is super important. If you have them in the side of your lanes, like in your jungle and their jungle, if you can, everybody should have wards. You can see the warriors coming, and instead of getting ganked, you can just backpedal behind your tower, or even go back to base if you have to. Like, you can just walk away. If you have wards, you can absolutely avoid almost every gank. Like, there's no reason not to have them. They're super useful, cheap. They have stats on them. They have a lot of utility to them. Next thing we're going to talk about, a lot of new players. I think is the thing that you need to understand. Junglers, when you play jungler, it is your mission, or more like your duty as the jungler, to place harvesters. Because if you don't and you get behind on that, your team will be behind in general. Plus, a lot of the keys are super useful, like Stalker's Key, I believe it is. It helps you jungle. It gives you some health regen. You can take a big buff by yourself if you have the Stalker's Key. Just be careful that you don't get invaded. It happens a lot now with the warrior meta. But anyways, moving on to the next thing I want to talk about. Previously, it was better to have more attack speed and attack damage rather than including crit chance. And usually you'd forego armor and get lifesteal, but now it's better to have a fair amount of armor. I haven't done the math yet on crit chance versus attack damage and attack speed yet. It's different now that those two things have been decreased per card point, so it makes crit a little bit more viable. I don't know the exact math yet. I'll probably do that tonight or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Yeah, keep that in mind. Armor is super great right now. And penetration, of course, when armor is big, that's going to be big too. You need quite a bit of that. That's really all that I can think of right now that would be important to discuss. But I'm probably gonna do another gameplay video tonight, maybe. We'll see. I've been thinking about doing some editing for those, but the issue being is that Paragon games are already so long, and I don't want to artificially lengthen it by adding things like shortcuts from the video where something happens and it was kind of funny, so I add some music and a slow-mo and a filter or something. I don't know if it'd be worth it. I don't know if it'd be good for the fact that the videos would already be so long. But anyways, guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something. I hope you can apply it to your game. If I missed anybody, let me know. I think I hit all of the big frequently played people this patch, I think. Anyhow, guys, you have a good day, and see you next time.